Hi, it's Jane, and on WOTWIP and Coffee, I am actually drinking it's Walmart's Clear American or Clear America Pineapple Coconut. It's a fizzy drink. It's tasty. Reminds me of a pina colada. So, I'm gonna knit today. I thought we would get into a little bit of chatting here, there, and whatnot. And let me see what row I'm on. I am on row 4. Boy, things you have to do to keep track of where you're at. I'm now at a point, and I will tell you, I am at a point where now I'm just knitting the sleeve down to where I would do the ribbing for the wrist. There are no more decreases, so I don't know why I need to keep track of that. I'll probably need to just quit worrying about it now. And I think I will, till I get down to the ribbing portion. I hope your week has been a good one. Mine's been fairly good. Had a little bit of sunshine, nice warm temperature, so I was able to get out and go take a whack at those lovely bamboo bushes before they get started, in hopes that it will dissuade them from growing this season. I know it won't. I do know that it takes anywhere from 5 to 6 years to get it to stop growing, and that's with a lot of cutting back and also spraying grass killer, weed killer on it. There is a specific brand that if you go out there and you spray it just as it is, 100%, it will take care of all of it, and usually fairly quickly. But you need to do head to toe in hazmat suit, because there is a high risk of getting cancer. So, yeah, all the fun things we learn, right, as we go throughout the seasons of life. I haven't started the other amigurumi that I was planning on. I'm still picking and choosing and plotting and planning to see if I want to actually do it. I think it's going to be a larger amigurumi, which is fine, because that can go as a wow gift in the Operation Christmas Child boxes. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I've been working on a few more sewing projects and realized that my ironing board cover has gotten extremely thin, so I need to replace it. So I thought about going to Walmart. I figured Walmart has some basic covers, ironing board covers. What I'm seeing are not, because of the type of sewing that I do, are not actually functional for that. They're a little more pretty, and pretty is fine, but pretty does not work for me. So now I'm having to look for, you used to be able to find them all the time. It was a standard one that had a heat reflector on it so that it reflected the heat back up towards the material that you were actually ironing. and those seem to be hard to find. So I might have to make my own. Not too thrilled about that. But if I have to, I have to. I found a cute pattern to use fabric scraps to make some stuffies for Operation Christmas Child. So I'm thinking about making those. Seeing how that goes. And I did find another pattern. It's a paid-for pattern that actually basically makes like dolls. Not really animals, but dolls more so than stuffed animals. The one that I did find was a free pattern to make a bunny, kind of a square bunny with fabric, the ears and legs. So, but I think it'll be a fun project to do, to make a couple of those. And it's not like I don't have a lot of scraps back there. Got a ton of fabric scraps. So I need to get those on the way and using them a little bit more. Instead of letting them sit. But part of that is some of those scraps I need to actually iron, which is what brought me to the whole thing about the ironing board cover. I need a new ironing board cover. I can still use this one, and I will, but it would be nice to have a different one available that I could use. That would meet the needs. It's more utilitarian than pretty. You know, Lord knows I don't know why people think their ironing board covers need to be some kind of special pretty, but whatever. Makes no sense to me. You know? But then that's the problem when you're more of a person that's a practical person. It used to drive my husband nuts. He'd ask me what I wanted for my birthday or for Christmas. Generally, every time it was something, that was practical, like something for the house. New electric skillet, air fryer, He'd be like, no, what do you want? We can always buy that for the house. Well, I don't really know of anything I want. That'll help me and it'll make me happy, so get it for me. And he would do that every year, which was sweet. So, there you go, right? But, yeah, I've never really had a lot of things that I wanted, per se, for me, personal things. I used to tell him, if you really wanted to make me happy, you could take me to Joann's and let me go hog wild and buy whatever I wanted. Yet he never did that. Don't know why he didn't, but now that Joann's is going away, it just breaks my heart. And I know there are a lot of stores that have already liquidated their most of their stuff, so they're pretty much on their way to being closed sooner than May. I do find it interesting that I was watching a channel. As you know, I watch a lot of different channels, not just crochet and knit, and one of those is sewing quilting channels. And they had talked about in their Joann's that they had the patterns, and they were marking some of the different patterns 30% down, 30% off. like that's a big deal. And if any of you know, patterns these days, when you purchase them in the stores, are generally somewhere between 17 to, I've seen them as high as $26.95 for the sewing pattern. And Joann's used to always have, generally every, like, I want to say about every 3 weeks, they used to have different brands of sewing patterns for $1.99. So you know that the patterns don't move all that quickly, and that's why they would have those sales. Now, I do know that Hobby Lobby, the brands that they have in their store, I don't think they have Burdock. I think they have McCall's and Simplicity, but their patterns are almost always $4.95. Regardless of what the price on the pattern says, they're always about $4.95, which I don't mind paying $4.95 for a pattern, you know. But really, Joann's 30% off of $17.95. Yeah, that's not a good deal. So I know there's a lot of people that are waiting till they're desperate to get rid of everything in the store, and then they'll snatch those patterns up quick as snot. So, and I would imagine that most of their, what I call interfacings, are probably all gone. I haven't been to my local store. The one that was in Williamsport shut down a couple of months ago. The one in State College is on the way to shutting down, you know, since they're closing completely. And I just have not been up there recently. Probably should take a trip, but just haven't been there. Just haven't got to that point yet. So, was thinking about a lot of different places could go for shopping, and I know my Scraps and Skeins is open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and the third Saturday, I think. I think they're open on Wednesdays as well. They just changed their hours recently, so probably ought to look and see what they are. And lots of times you can get some great buys there for fabrics and yarn and you name it, and all kinds of different items. The only thing that worries me is sewing needles for the sewing machine. You know, do need to buy a bunch of sewing machine needles. I realize there's two different sizes that I use the most of, and I'm pretty low on those. And generally, when I was going out to Hoover's for some embroidery, machine embroidery classes, different classes, I'd take a quilting class every once in a while there, or something different, free motion quilting, you name it, just because it was interesting and a great way to learn. I would stock up on my sewing needles. They did sell a lot of Smiths, and that's usually my preferred brand. But yeah, I need to look into sewing machine needles again. They seem to break a lot easier nowadays. Now, I do often, if I'm at a garage sale and there happens to be sewing items there, I'll always look to see if there are sewing needles and double check the size to make sure it fits my machine. And so if I do find them at garage sales or, you know, thrift store, I'll get them. Pick those up. I don't know that I've seen them for sale at Scraps and Skeins or not. Maybe I haven't looked that closely for them. That might be what I've not done yet. I do often look at threads. Many times they have different color threads that I don't have in my repertoire, and so I'll pick those up. Cone threads, I use certain cones of certain thread all the time in my sewing. Guaranteed there's always a white, and there's always cream, and there's always a black. Now I have a friend who tells me she uses one that's sort of a grayish tone, and she says she finds that works better for a lot of things that she sews. So I probably should look into that and see about that. You know? See if that's the case with some of my sewing. I will tell you the other day, I'm talking a lot about sewing, not about knit and crochet. But the other day I found a pair of jeans and I was thinking that I needed to fix them so that they fit a little bit better. Well, the pair of jeans that I just take the seam out of the that's around the waist and then start ripping it apart from that way, determine. And I realized looking at it, this is not the pair that I needed to do. And I had already taken them apart and everything. So now I need to just put it back together because it fits fine. It was not the ones that I thought I was looking at. So, in which I should know better, because the motto of a quilter sewist is check twice, cut once. That way you're not making a mistake when you're cutting. And you get the right measurement when you're cutting. Well, the same goes for a lot of other things too. So yeah, had a little bit of a giggle about that, but it'll be okay. And I'll move on. And I always find it interesting. The cats have to keep me company while I'm sewing. They come back in the back, and I have a couple of chairs back there that they lay on. And of course, they've got all the big window view in there, so they enjoy looking out the windows and chasing leaves along that are blowing. Sometimes I can't figure out what they're watching. Maybe I'm not supposed to figure out what they're watching. But then every once in a while, Ronan has this thing where he likes to stretch all the way up, and I see this paw on the end of my table doing like this. Like he's either trying to get attention or he's searching for something, Don't know what it is, but it's funny to see him do that. And many times if I'm cutting fabric, I've got to get in the chair that I have behind me while I'm cutting so that I can sit down occasionally. Because I have some hip issues, and sometimes my hips are like, all right, we've had enough, sit down. At least that's the way I think they're telling me, It's either sit down or fall down. And that's just bursitis in the hips. And I know that, so. But it's okay if they're just sitting there behind me, but sometimes they curl up and lay behind me. And so you kind of have to watch to make sure you're not sitting on a cat. Because you don't want to squish them. So that has been one of the things that I find interesting, the way that they act. And the way they think they have to be back in that back room with me when I'm back there. Any other time, they're sleeping on a chair up here or sleeping in their bed. Although Ronan doesn't sleep in his bed much. Generally, if he's going to sleep, he is going to sleep in my, in that box top. He loves that box top. So, either that or he likes to sleep on the rug in the bathroom, just outside of the shower. So, he occasionally gets in bed. He'll sleep at the foot of the bed, probably about 3 or 4 hours when I first go to bed at night. Then he gets up and does his cat business, whatever that is, you know. Cats are nocturnal lots of times, so. And every once in a while I wake up and I hear him playing. And he cracks me up when he's doing that, because you just hear him tossing that mouse up and down and all around all night long. Started filming the shawl that I am creating. Just started a little bit of it. Just the basis for the first couple of rows. And, you know, that's always a blast. And it's pretty basic. Most of us know how to start a shawl like that. And I always find it interesting. People are so afraid to try out different stitch patterns with blankets and shawls and that kind of thing, whether it's knit or crochet. Feel like they have to have a pattern or, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, shawls are easy. You know where you're going to put some increases. You know? Blankets are easy. Once you've got that stitch count figured out, you know, don't be afraid to change it up a little bit. So yeah, that's on the ticket this week, getting started. And I hope everybody caught the last Boggy Creek blanket opening. I love watching the openings because there are some stunning Afghans, lapgans, lap blankets, whatever you want to call them. So everyone does a great work, and it is so nice to get to see other people's finished items, those kind of things. So it was nice to see that, to be able to get a grin, you know. I know that person. I know that person, you know. And that's the cool thing, even though we may be miles apart, don't see each other physically, getting to know you through the channel has always been great, a lot of fun. So, but also the Boggy Creek boxing of blankets, the openings of those are always fun to watch. Just to see the way that the gals and guy handle themselves during them. And well they do. So, and I haven't seen that if Wings is decided what they're going to do this year or not. If they're going to include us crafters. I don't always donate to Wings every year. I do a lot of things like what Rose talks about. I donate to a lot of local charities, and that helps with costs as well as everything. But every once in a while, it's fun to donate to a different charity in a different area. So yeah, that is one of those things that I like seeing and like being a little bit of a part of every once in a while. Something different. Because I think we all go through these phases where if we've been donating to a specific charity or whatnot, we often feel as if we're being taken advantage of or taken for granted many times. I have heard, I don't know how many people have said that to me that were a part of the Parashal ministry and then kind of walked away from participating in it. And a lot of that was because they did not feel the gratitude that came across. People don't always send you thank you notes nowadays, younger generation especially. They don't let you know how it impacted them, that they're grateful for it, although we do still have quite a few folks that do that. Or even just a call to the organization, to say thank you for what you've done. But there was something, many times, Jerry and I always tried to make sure that the girls, men that were crocheting, knitting for Prayer Shawl Ministry, that we were grateful for what they did. We always tried to point out the tables. Look at what you guys have done this month. This is fantastic. Without you, we can't do this. And we would thank them, during that. And sometimes I think a lot of organizations forget to do that. And that a lot of that has to do with the person that's running it, coordinating it, has a lot of things on their mind to get things done, that kind of thing. So they may just overlook it, and that's all it is. But it's important, So I can't wait to see if Wings has a new list and what it involves. That'll be something neat. And also, when you stop and think about it, you can also use a lot of those lists that they are putting out there for your own charitable giving. I mean, really. Whether it's handmade toys, handmade bags, blankets, Afghan shawls, you name it. Those things, a lot of people are in need many times, and those are a source of comfort, warmth, and shows that someone else cares for them. So that's that. And I just think it's important, to let people know that. That's someone that I was talking with earlier this morning, we had a good discussion about that in a different realm, So we were basically talking about those people that step up in our churches each week to be there faithfully. And I'm not talking about the pastors, but I am talking about those people that step up that are always there. If you have a coffee bar to serve coffee, or there's someone always there to greet you when you come in the door. Well, I don't know if that cut off, but I was talking about how important it is to make sure that you let people know that you're grateful for what they do, regardless of where you're at. And I was using the example of church ministry, children's ministry. Our church makes sure that people have their clearances. Um, they generally have a rule that they want you to have been there as a member or being in the member class, but they would prefer that you are a member and have been a member for a year before they would let you work with the children, that kind of thing. And I think that's a way to get to know you, that kind of thing, but I'm not positive. Now, I do know many times they overlook people who would be willing to help, who have asked for a place to help. Um, they don't know where they would fit in, but many times churches overlook that kind of thing. And I have a giggle because our church has a session that they do for the young mothers. It's called AIM. I think that's what it is. Not sure exactly what that is, but it's a chance for mothers to get together, grow spiritually, learn tips and tricks, deal with the things of growing children, some of the concerns they might have had. But they always need someone for daycare. Now, my church, this group meets on Thursdays. Well, Thursdays I have a Bible study that I dearly love, and I'm not willing to give up. So I feel guilty when they ask me, can you come for that? And I'll be like, no, I told you Thursdays are out for me. If you did it Thursday afternoon, I can make a way. But since you do it Thursday morning, can't help you, you know. But I do know of some people that have wanted to step up and help in the church, and they've kind of been brushed aside, and I'm not sure why that is. I mean, we talked about things in the little cliques that go on in churches and think maybe that may be because that person doesn't fit their judgment criteria, shall we say, and so that they get overlooked. And then they wonder why that person left the church. And maybe they left because they felt like, well, I'm not needed, and they hurt my feelings because they won't take me up and use me here or there or whatnot. Church politics, right? We've had some beautiful sunshiny days. Now I understand this weekend it's supposed to be raining. Really wish it wouldn't. And then we go back to some nicer weather coming up this next week. And I don't know about you, but I am all for ready for it. Very ready for it. Sort of. Because I know the other end of that is I'll be out there weed eating and, cutting the bamboo, telling it I'm the boss while it laughs at me. Says, no, I'm the boss. So that'll be fun. Give me a little bit of time outside. Plus, gives me a little bit of exercise. So that's always good. Don't get as much exercise as I need. Really need to work on that. And I am so glad the time change is finally here. Yeah, I know, I gripe about it. But at least now I'm starting to get into the routine. Although, I will tell you, this past week, I did a lot of staying up till after midnight, which is unusual for me. So, had to get back into that groove, into that time shift. I have a friend who has trouble with time, getting up early, and he was talking about how he stays up so late at night, and then when the morning comes, he can't get up early enough, sleeps late, and he's like, I don't know how to get out of it. I said, well, you know how to build a new habit, don't you? He said, yeah, I know, 21 days. I said, yeah, 21 days of getting up earlier at a set time. I guarantee you, eventually, you'll start going to bed at a regular time instead of staying up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning and then going to bed. Like, yeah, I guess so. I said, hey, I know with my patients who had sundowners, that's what we did with them. He goes, what's sundowners? I said, well, normally it was a patient who had dementia, someone we assumed had Alzheimer's. Since you can't diagnose Alzheimer's supposedly until you're dead. But you know. You really do know. But our sundowners would be active from midnight to about 3 or 4 in the morning. So, I will tell you as a nurse, I gave my patients a job when they had Alzheimer's. For some reason, they could remember the job. And that used to floor me. But when I did that, they wouldn't roam around the halls, get hurt, get into trouble. And it worked. And I know many times I would make sure that the new staff coming on, if I was working night shift, because I did work quite a few night shifts, to cover for other people and to train someone as a charge nurse. And before I left, I made sure that they were awake. That helped a little bit. And a lot of times, some of these people were fairly sick when we got them. By waking them up like that, and you may think it's cruel, but it did help them get back into a schedule that worked a little bit better for everyone involved. Because I will tell you, and this is standard, and it shouldn't be. It should be according to patient ratio, period. But every hospital and every nursing home has them. And what they do is that first shift, either 6 to 2, 7 to 3, has more people on it than any other shift. Then there's less people on 3 to 11. And then there is just a skeleton crew for 11 to 7 in the morning. And it shouldn't be that way. There should be the same number of nurses each shift, regardless. But that's not the way that they work it. And it used to bother me because day shift nurses, I'd always done 3 to 11. But the day shift nurses would always say, yeah, but we only have 2 to 3 patients because there's so much going on. Yeah, your patients were gone most of the day because they were taken off for this therapy, taken off somewhere for labs and x-rays and all that. So you had no patient care during those times. But me, having a patient care 3 to 11, I guarantee you it was 8 to 12 people that I had to care for each shift. I've had a couple of shifts where I had 40 patients to cover with one aide on that 3 to 11 shift. And that is dangerous. That's all I gotta say. It's dangerous. And I used to hate it, and I used to complain, and I would file instant reports because I wanted my butt covered in case somebody, died because I couldn't get to them because I had so many patients to care for. So, if you're ever in the hospital, please be kind to your staff. They really are doing the best that they can for you. And of course, back when I was nursing, there was more hands-on nursing. I mean, we were in there, giving back massages before bed, talking with the patients, changing sheets, helping them with whatever they needed help with, feeding them, you name it. Nowadays, you're lucky if you see a nurse during the shift. I'm not sure what they do nowadays. Guess it's just mostly monitor. But differences, just big differences in the way that they do things nowadays than what they did when I was a nurse on the floor. Do you guys have any big plans for this big momentous weekend that we're having? I consider it almost the start of spring, even though spring officially doesn't start till next week. I kind of do look at it like it's the beginning of spring. Do you have some outdoor plans you plan on doing? How many of you are into gardening? Do you like gardening? I have grown food in my past, gardened that kind of way, container gardening, you name it. Enjoyed most of it. Of course, the only thing I didn't like was when it came time to harvest the spuds, potatoes. If you had them just planted in rows, let them grow. You got to dig them up, and that's no fun. Now, Thomas and I, we had always lived apartment, that kind of thing. We would do the apartment that we lived in when we were in Blacksburg. We did a lot of container gardening because we didn't really have a place to put a garden. And that worked out fine. The exception of the skunks and the possums that would come up and steal food, raccoons. Bear, not so much, although we did have a bear come up onto the deck once. But for the most part, the animal that ate the most of our container gardening was our next door neighbor's Labrador retriever. She would come over and chomp on everything. So we kind of had to watch her when she was out there. But when we grew potatoes, we actually grew them on the driveway where we parked in front of the door. We would take a tire, or we'd take a bucket that we'd hollowed out the bottom of it. We would do that oftentimes, stack them, but generally the tire was the best. And you fill it with dirt, plant your potatoes, water it as you go, and as they reach a certain point, then you put another tire on top of it, more dirt around where the plant was growing, so that you could just build it up higher and higher. And then when you were ready to harvest your potatoes, it was real easy. You just took the tires off. And then you had to find some place to put the dirt, soil, but that was never really hard to do because we would just change out the dirt that was in the planters of the different containers, so that worked. And our landlady, she was a big gardener, and she used to laugh, and because she had a big area where she could plant a garden. She used to come over and tell me, if you want, I can give you a row and you can plant some things there if you want. That way I can get you to help me take care of it. And I'd go over and help her on the weekends. Well, weekends or if I had days off. So, always kind of enjoyed that. And here's the funny thing. I do not have a green thumb to save my life. I really don't. I can kill a house plant like that. I've always liked house plants, but I cannot keep them alive. So Thomas was the one that took care of the house plants. Outside plants, I had no issues with. I could handle those. So. It's kind of what I'm doing, working up, planting some seeds. I have a couple of seeds for some herbs that I want to get started. I love basil. I love the smell of basil. I love it in almost anything I can get it put into. So basil is one of those herbs I like to grow. And I've been told you can keep it inside, but I don't know how well that'll work. Need to do some more research on that. Find out a little bit more about that. And yeah, that'll be another chore. Something to do. All right, I have a couple of shout outs today. So let me get you those, and then we'll be done for the day. Although I have a battery I need to change, so hang on. All right, battery's changed. All right, this first channel is a rural. Why are R's so hard? Rural squirrel. It's hard to say just by itself. This is Kristen, a rural squirrel, and she has been a long-time thrifter and bargain hunter. So she's going to take us on thrifting adventures as we travel in our camper looking for treasures and bargains at Goodwill outlets all over the country to give them new life and new homes. Sometimes she keeps them for her family, but most of the time she sells them. No matter what, it's always an adventure. The next channel is Kitty Hamelink, or Hamlink. This is Kitty, nature and wool witch. She spends most of her time spinning wool, knitting, and weaving. And she has a lot of wool adventures to share with us. Then there is Thorsby Cottage. This is Katie. She does a lot of crochet patterns, tutorials, crafting tutorials, and all kinds of reviews. And as she says, let's make things. Then there is Stephanie Mitchard. She is an artist and all-around crafty enthusiast. Ever since she can remember, she's always had creating in the forefront of her mind. From childhood finger paintings, making collages, from teenage magazines, crocheting blankets to oil painting. If there is a new craft, she's going to tackle it. She thinks crafting was born out of deep love for the therapeutic joy of creating with one's hands. You can lose yourself in the task of making. And isn't that true? I mean, we do that with crochet, knit all the time, so. Her mission is to inspire and empower individuals, regardless of skill level, to embrace their inner artist and crafter. There's a unique beauty that comes from handmade creations and the sense of accomplishment that arises with each completed project. It's not always about the completed object, but the journey is just as important. So she hopes that our videos will help to inspire you to take a creative journey of your own. The next channel is Rachel's Suitcase, and Rachel quit her job and is now selling on eBay. She gives tips about her journey and all kinds of interesting things about that. Next channel is Jessie Damrong Chai. Boy, I hope I pronounced that right. Um, this is Jessie, and she makes content about sewing and her upcycling small business. The next channel, you've probably seen her if you're on TikTok or Instagram, and that's Melody Yarn Tinka. She's been crocheting for over 26 years and selling on Etsy for 5 years. She loves to crochet colorful creations, connect with other crocheters, most importantly, have fun. A lot of her videos are how to, what to crochet, not only crochet tutorials, yarn hauls, yarn reviews, yarn wall, crochet inspiration, shopping for yarn, crochet tips and tricks, and to organize your yarn and more. She does a lot of lives on TikTok where she is crocheting and just chatting. So that's another place to catch up with her, as well as YouTube. Then there is Stephanie's Art Studio. Stephanie is artist by day, book nerd by night, mixed media artist, writer at Layered Pages. I have no idea what that is, so I probably should look into that. Book reviewer. And she does also a lot of things that are fabric related, as in sewing, those kind of things. Now this next channel, and you'll understand why I watch her. But she also has a lot of how-tos, things that she does, shows you how to do things, how to make things. And this is Strawberry, as in B-E-A-R. Berry. This is Michelle Jett. She has videos on crafting, Operation Christmas Child, organization, home decor, Bible journaling, card making, life hack videos, school and teacher related videos. Now, I watch her a lot of times for the Operation Christmas Child. Not only does she put boxes together, but she also shows you how to make some of the different things that she makes for Operation Christmas Child, as in sewing. So I'm having fun doing that because I've found a new way to use some of my new scraps. So, yeah, I hope you will give all these channels a look-see. And that's it for today. And remember to do something kind for yourself, but most importantly, do something kind for someone else today. All right, see you guys soon. Bye.